Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Aaron Tan, and I am the immediate past Vice President and Conference Chair of the Travel and Tourism Research Association Asia Pacific Chapter. Thank you for attending my buyer procurement presentation, and I look forward to hearing some of your questions and answering them after the presentation. Please allow me to share my screen. On my slide, and you would see a little bit about myself and also the intention of this session is for us to understand some of the requirements related to the chapter's call for requests of conference proposals in the future. And I'd like to take you through a journey about the past and objectives of the association, who the attendees are, and open to then addressing and helping some of our destinations bid for future events. So the agenda for today that you see on the screen, we've got a bit of a background and also the history of the APEC chapter, which is a very young chapter, some of the objectives and aims of what we seek to do, where we've had our past conferences, looking at some proposals that we're calling for future years, particularly from 2023, possibly 2024 onwards, and also some time for question and answers. Background to the TTRA and the Asia Pacific chapter. In our inception, more than 45 years ago in the US, it's a chapter that looks at driving the kind of travel research that empowers and provides leadership across the global community. And we seek to engage with stakeholders from residents, governments, destination operators, academics in particular, but also just to improve on the overall quality of research, providing them with evidence and facts and details about a whole range of tourism and travel types of research across the globe. There are at present 7 chapters in existence, with a few more being explored in different parts of the world. We've got 4 in the US across different regions, the Canada chapter, Europe, and of course the Asia Pacific chapter is the youngest chapter. Some of the things, despite our youth, have been in receiving some of the distinguished awards, where we've got the Chapter Achievement Award for Best Performing Chapter, despite only less than 4 years since inception. We won this in 2016. We've got a Distinguished Researcher Award that was awarded to our president last year. And we also have numerous Best Paper Awards from the research that's been done within the chapter and our community of members. Some of the types of engagements that we have with our chapter members include obviously the annual conference, webinars, mid-year meetings. We distribute 2 electronic newsletters to our members per year and to the wider community. There are journals that we also support, and definitely a range of career and project postings on our website as well. So we do encourage you to find out a bit more about what we do and the kind of aspirations and goals that we seek to achieve. Some of the things that we see on this slide are the objectives and aims, which I try to summarize, providing a sense of place to communities and people who are involved with tourism and travel research within the continent. We want to also use data-driven resources and projects to actually guide knowledge sharing based on empirical work that we do across different types of voices, from local residents, practitioners, government, academic agencies, to guide and inform different perspectives to travel and tourism research. Also looking at accounting for the global south, which has been a bit of our advocacy to guide and empower communities to lead and be agents of change within the tourism industry, which clearly have got a very strong representation here in Asia Pacific. And finally, we also have different ways to disseminate information, from infographics to snippets to newsletters that are simple but powerful mechanisms to understand and to get a great glimpse of what research exists and how do we continue to advance some of these footprints further across the continent. On this slide, you will see also the past conferences that have been scheduled. I've just given us a bit of a snapshot of the last few years. In 2014, the conference was held in Melbourne, in Australia. We then went to Northeast Asia, to Tokyo, and then across to the Middle East in Dubai. 2017 was then back into the heart of Hong Kong. And in 2018, we then followed up with a Global South Focus conference in Vietnam. 2019, we had our international conference, and so that came back to Australia. And in 2020, we have a bid that we've had to postpone, unfortunately, due to COVID-19 in Korea, and our intention is then to fulfill that in a future year, like 2021. And in 2022 and 2023, we've got current bids that are already been accepted, and so we're looking at possibly 2023 onwards as future bids that we want to consider. So probably 2024 at the earliest run of where the bids will be considered. We're looking for bids in places that we haven't had past countries or cities host before. So anywhere from the Indian subcontinent, looking at China, looking at Thailand, for example, would be in the South Pacific, obviously, as well, to guide some of our wide footprint across our member base. So I'm quite happy for us to also have time for question and answers. Believe that the conference organizers at this particular forum will also make available our call for proposals. Essentially, the conference will be held in the first week of December each year, and it will be for a period of 3 to 4 days. We have about 100 attendees, usually from a range of 17 or 18 countries, and they then make their own way to the event. We have our keynotes, we have our breakout rooms, and the idea here is to be able to also communicate and engage with our local stakeholders, resident groups, students, different committees. It may be advantageous for any destination bids to also partner with a local institution to showcase some of the work and some of the ongoing legacies that we want to be able to do and support as well. Our chapter and the association that we are part of is also linked to the ICCA listing on the database, and we're quite proud to also have been commended on some of the work that we do in not just running a conference, but also demonstrating the legacies that go with our different communities and stakeholder groups as well. So I look forward to catching up with some of you. This is a very challenging year for many, and we continue to support some of the work that we do, and certainly in your destinations as well. Thank you, and you've on the screen also have access to my work email, and also a link to the association website. So once again, thank you for your time and attention. I want to keep this short so that we have a bit more time to have question and answers. And thank you once again, and goodbye. Well, thank you everyone for your time, and I've got some questions that have come through. The first one from Lynette's question on will we expect budget cuts for our events? That could be the case. And so this year, what we have done is to change some of the ways we've operated, running webinars, giving more value for memberships, and in that sense, spreading our risk over a wider time frame, and then run smaller but more integrated events in the future.
在今年疫情影响之下，我们的预算是有一部分减少的。那么同时，我们以其他的运营方式正在进行我们的业务，其中包括以网络研讨会的方式继续为我们的会员提供价值，以更长的时间段去逐渐的让我们的会员了解我们的业务。
Another question that I picked up was whether there are any recent travel research results to share, and the answer is yes. There have been some studies done across different parts of the Asia Pacific. So for example, many countries in Asia Pacific are starting to explore post-COVID travel intentions, and this would probably be within their own domestic market, at least for the next 12 to 18 months, and then further a few into regional, what we call travel bubbles, moving forward. But there are also some specialized areas where the revisit intention is much faster or more evident. I've done some work in the area of medical and wellness tourism, and that's pretty much a very strong market who trust that the health system post-pandemic will continue to support them.
其中有一位嘉宾问到，我们现在有没有任何的研究结果可以分享？我们现在主要关注的一些研究是疫后的旅游行为与旅游意向研究。基本上这些研究现在主要围绕国内市场，以未来的12至18个月这个期间进行。我们留意到也有很多旅游是相关于研究这个旅游泡泡的。那么未来来说，一些比较恢复比较快的一些旅游形式是以康旅这一方面为主。那么康旅游这一方面对于疫后旅游是比较有信心的。
Thank you. A question from Cheryl. How do you see the future of association events, and will it affect our requirements? The key here is how do we leverage an association brand into our stakeholders, and increasingly members are asking for more value for money returns on membership. So we are starting to do more projects, partnering with local communities, government stakeholders, initiating some benchmarking studies around my cities, for example. And I'll be quite interested to see how this then supports the long-term future of association and its events. There is no easy solution now, but it is something that we are aware of and many associations are continuing to deal with as well.
我们未来的一些活动，主要还是希望能够让我们的品牌能够通过更多的与政府合作，去提升我们的品牌价值，为我们的会员带来为我们的利益相关方带来更多的回报。
Thank you. A question from Andrew is whether or not the earliest year to host an event is 2023 and thereafter. And to answer that is yes. The reason being that the association has a support structure to try and bring our conferences across different parts of the Asia Pacific region. So we are interested, for example, over the next few years to take it to places like the South Pacific or to places like India and Sri Lanka subcontinents before we come back into Northeast Asia. So to answer your question, Andrew, yes, that's more likely to be the case in probably 2023 or 2024.
对于线下活动，是的，2023年之后才会有更多的线下活动。我们的协会已经有一个足够的支撑结构，让我们能够逐渐的恢复到原来的样子。那么首先我们会在南太平洋这一边，包括斯里兰卡这一边开始，逐渐能够蔓延到其他的地区。
Thank you. Question from Yvonne. Any plans to cooperate with associations in China to create win-win situations for the travel industry? And Yvonne, that's a good question, and thank you for your question. This is definitely going to be a key mechanism moving forward, the kind of alliances and partnerships with other associations. So this is something that we are exploring as well through not just webinars, but also stakeholder groups, through university partners, through business associations. The intention is also to have legacies such as student groups to also enable that there may be more workshops for up and coming travel professionals, because the industry is about people and we want to be continuing this to the best of our ability.
与一些机构合作是我们一直想要发展的方向。那么未来来说，与一些机构合作是我们的主要的一个机制。这里面包括与大学、相关利益者以及企业机构互相合作。那么同时我们也是希望能够继续维续我们的一些传统。那么包括了建立学生的群体。从业者群体，因为我们的本质还是以人为本，希望能够让我们的这一个目标与传统继续维持下去。
Thank you. Andrew's follow-up question is on the TTRA annual conference. To answer your question, Andrew, the annual conference only rotates by continents every 4 or 5 years, and we're not sure when the next time it will come back into Asia Pacific. But I'm happy to be keeping you in the loop of things.
我们的年度大型企业会议是每4至5年才会轮流不同的大陆的，所以我们如果下一次有一个新的轮流，我们会通知大家的。
Thank you. Question from Wasiuddin about the TTRA membership and the offer in pandemic times. We are quite proud to let you know that for people or travel professionals who are based in global south countries, there are actually membership rates for the global south. And we also want to use this opportunity to let students know that if you are a student, you actually get a student membership and an extra year after graduation for free.
对于我们的会员这一部分，在南部的这一边，我们疫后对于学生会员是有2年的一个机制，能够有同样的一个会员能够维持2年。
Thank you. Important question from Yvonne. Many people may have lost their jobs during this time of the pandemic. How would the travel industry confront this issue? And I just did a workshop earlier this morning with some people in Singapore, and the question is, how does the travel workforce come back stronger? This is a time where we want to look at the upskilling of some of the talent we've got. How might they deal with some of the crisis skills? How might they leverage some of their skills into new relevant industries like food or wellness? But also a bigger question is, how do we leverage on the possible use of information technology, IT, and growing the industry in a more sustainable way forward? So we realize this is a global issue, and so we are starting to make further plans in place to upskill, train, and create some systems so that there is a long-term future for many of the travel professionals.
对于一些新的人才输入，我们的目标是能够升级这些人才的利用。有2个方式，第一个是能够让他们进入现在更有相关的一些领域，比如说食品food and beverage，或者是康旅这一些行业。第2个是能够让他们能有更多的 IT 这一方面的训练，让我们的人才以后能够有更好的持续性。同时我们也在建立一些系统，能够让新进的这一些人才对于以后发展能够更长的持久性。
Thank you. To answer Wasiuddin's question about contact or cooperation with Bangladesh, I'm quite happy, Wasiuddin, to hear from you from my email. So please send me an email on this. And I believe that's one of the areas, the subcontinent areas where we haven't really had our presence or conferences or events. And I'm very happy where you can see on the screen to correspond with me via emails to see how we could actually develop this forward.
非常感谢您能够通过邮件跟我们取得联系，因为我们的委员会现在还没有在子大陆取得一定的活动的机会，所以我们会与您通过邮件沟通。
Thank you, everyone.
谢谢大家。